Preface to the 4th edition. This book was originally written for the purpose of disenchanting certain credulous inquirers who fancied that the exercise of spiritual powers could be taught by teaching them certain incantations and formulas. It was to prove that spiritual powers must be developed before they can be exercised, and to explain the conditions necessary for their development. Since the appearance of the previous edition, a little additional knowledge gained by the experiences of my own inner life has enabled me to make certain corrections, to sift out much of what was irrelevant, and to remodel a great deal of what was incorrectly expressed. Moreover, in this edition, an attempt has been made to answer the numerous questions which have been addressed to me by the readers of Magic. The most serious objection which has been made against this book has been on account of its title, but the causes which induced me to select such a title were suggested by the purpose for which the book was intended. Nor would I at present be able to find one more appropriate for it, for magic means that divine art or exercise of spiritual power, by which the awakened spirit in man controls the invisible living elements and the soul substance of the universe, but above all, those in his own soul, which are the ones nearest to him. If we desire to master any forces, whatever it is, above all, necessary to know what they are and how they originate, and as we have no better means to study the qualities of any internal forces than by observing those which are active within ourselves, the perception of the processes going on within our own psychic organism will be the means to accomplish our object. The art magic is the exercise of spiritual power to be obtained by practicing self-control, and this power cannot be acquired in any other way, nor is it possible to teach anyone how to exercise a power which he does not possess, because he has not developed it. We can only indicate the way in which the psychic powers latent in every human constitution may be developed. The constitutions of all men are fundamentally the same, and in each human being are contained magical powers germinally or in a latent condition, but they cannot be said to exist before they become active and manifest themselves. First interiorly, and afterwards in an outward direction. It was not my object in composing this book to write merely a code of ethics and thereby to increase the already existing pile of moral precepts, but to assist the student of occultism in studying the elements of which his own soul is composed, and to learn to know his own physical organism. I want to give an impulse to the study of a science, which may be called the anatomy and physiology of the soul, which investigates the elements of which the organism of the soul is composed, and the source from which man's desires and emotions spring. Physical science has advanced with great strides in the realm of superficial phenomena and external illusions, but the science of the real interior and invisible man is still very little known. The mechanical and chemical forces of nature have been made subservient to physical science. She has laid the yoke upon the neck of the giant steam enchained electricity to her triumphal chariot. She made mechanical motion heat and light, and magnetism the obedient slaves of men. She made discoveries which make man to a certain extent independent of the conditions imposed upon him by space and time. She succeeded in realizing certain ideas and to put them into practical execution. Ideas which a century ago were believed to belong merely to the realm of the fancies of the visionary and the dreamer. Why should we stop here? Why should it not be possible for us to advance still further and to enchain those semi conscious and conscious forces which pervade our own soul and also the soul of the world? Why should it be impossible to condense into forms, by the omnipotent power of will, the living but formless elementals, to concentrate and give shape to living and universal principles, which, although they are at present invisible for us, nevertheless exist? Such things have been accomplished by the Eastern sages thousands of years ago, and may be accomplished by ourselves, provided we attain the same state of perfection which characterizes these adepts. To arrive at this end, the merely superficially intellectual reading of books on occultism is entirely insufficient. The divine mysteries of nature are above and beyond the power of conception of the limited intellect. They must be grasped by the power of spirit. If we cannot by our own soul perception perceive a spiritual truth with the eye of spirit, intellectual reasoning and book learning will not enable us to perceive it clearly. Books dealing with such subjects should not be masters to us. They should be merely our assistants. They are merely useful to describe in the details of things which we already know in the depths of our soul. They are merely servants to hold up before our eyes magnifying mirrors, wherein we see the truths whose presence we feel in ourselves. Jacob Boehme, the great theosoph, says in regard to the study of occultism, if you desire to investigate the divine mysteries of nature, investigate first your own mind and ask yourself about the purity of your purpose. Do you desire to put the good teachings which you may receive into practice for the benefit of humanity? Are you ready to renounce all selfish desires which cloud your mind and hinder you to see the clear light of eternal truth? Are you willing to become an instrument for the manifestation of divine wisdom? Do you know what it means to become united with your own higher self, to get rid of your elusive self, to become one with the living universal power of good, and to die to your own shadowy, insignificant terrestrial personality? Or do you merely desire to obtain great knowledge so that your curiosity may be gratified and that you may be proud of your science and believe yourself to be superior to the rest of mankind? Consider that the depths of divinity can only be searched by the divine spirit itself, which is active within you. Real knowledge must come from our own interior, not merely from externals, and they who seek for the essence of things merely in externals may find the artificial color of a thing, but not the true thing itself. Again, this self-taught philosopher says, the intellect should be developed, but above all, the heart. We should attempt to understand intellectually the laws of everything, but our own still fallible intellect should not be made the starting point in our investigation. Man should not be governed by his reasoning from appearances, but he should govern his mind, so that the light of divine wisdom may illuminate his intellect. If our judgment becomes free of all selfish taint, and the vibrations of our soul are made to vibrate in harmony with the eternal spirit, our perishable intellect will be penetrated by the imperishable light of divine wisdom, and we will be able to perceive and to solve the deepest problems of nature. If our desire and reason cling to the sphere of the self, we shall see merely the illusions which we ourselves have created. But if we become free by being obedient to the universal law, we will become one with the law and see the truth in its purity. And to this we will add, as a warning to all inquirers, that a scientific investigation of the occult mysteries of nature, without that firm foundation furnished by the development of true spirituality, is exceedingly dangerous and leads to deplorable consequences. The perception of things which belong to the spirit is a faculty of the spiritually developed man and not within the reach of the semi-material mind. He who continually pores over things which he cannot comprehend lives in the realm of his dreams. He becomes an unpractical person, incapable to fulfill his duties in life, and utter insanity and suicide is the result. The school of the occultist is only for those who have graduated in the school of terrestrial life. Let therefore those who wish to acquire spiritual or divine power follow this advice. Let therefore those who wish to acquire spiritual or divine power follow this advice. Let them rise spiritually into the highest regions of thought and remain therein as its permanent residence. Let them cultivate their physical bodies and their mental constitutions in such a manner that the matter of which they are composed will become less gross and more penetrable to the divine light of the Spirit. Then will the veils that separate them from the invisible world become thinner. Then they will become aware of the fact that the circle which limits their terrestrial and phenomenal existence is merely a segment of that grand circle, wherein their existence as a self-conscious beings on the spiritual plane is enclosed. And as they increase in transcendental knowledge, they will grow in spiritual power, until, by the understanding of the divine laws of the universe, they will become the co-operators of God, and God will perform his miracles in and through them. The following pages are an attempt to show the way how man may become an instrument of the divine power whose product is nature. They constitute a book which may properly bear the title of magic. For if the readers succeed in practically following its teachings, they will be able to witness the greatest of all magical feats, the spiritual regeneration of man.